Most individuals wear a social mask and talk endlessly just to feel part of the group, seeking quick and superficial acceptance. However, if you observe the dynamics of the room closely, you will notice a very clear pattern. Intelligent people generally keep to the margins of these everyday interactions. They are not simply quiet out of shyness, arrogance, or lack of topics. In fact, their minds are operating on a completely different frequency from the rest of the room. While the group exchanges superficialities, intelligent people adopt silence as a posture of active observation. They are mapping the environment, decoding hidden behaviors, noticing who exaggerates a story to gain attention, and who shows insecurity through small body language gestures. For intelligent people, every interaction that seems banal is actually a human laboratory in real time, where they collect valuable data on who is who. What seems to be just a reserved attitude is an analytical mind working at high speed to read between the lines. But why exactly do they feel the need to save so much focus and protect their mental capacity by escaping these conversation circles? And it is precisely in this rigorous energy saving that we reach the true climax of this dynamic. Reason why intelligent people step away from useless chatter. When you see someone seemingly distant, silently holding a glass in the corner of a corporate happy hour in downtown Chicago, or just observing during one of those traditional and tense neighborhood association meetings in the American suburbs, do not assume this person is inattentive. On the contrary, intelligent people use the small talk of others as a powerful cold reading tool. In our culture, we were taught to value extreme extroversion, believing that whoever dominates the conversation dominates the room. But while the talking subject pours words into the wind, trying to impress colleagues with exaggerated stories about their summer vacations or their supposed conquests in the stock market, the analytical mind is working silently like a high-precision human scanner. Behavioral science, that words represent only a small fraction of what we are actually communicating, and intelligent people know this better than anyone. They are not focused on the rehearsed script coming out of the interlocutor's mouth, but rather on the information leaks that the body simply cannot hide. While the superficial conversation flows, they observe micro-expressions that last fractions of a second, small jaw twitches, the subtle change in voice tone when a delicate subject is touched upon, eye contact that quickly shifts, or even the way someone's feet are pointed toward the exit of the room. By processing all these body signals simultaneously and invisibly, intelligent people manage to identify hidden vulnerabilities, deep insecurities, and mainly very well-crafted lies. They scan secrets that the speaker doesn't even realize they are handing over on a silver platter. If someone is trying to force an exaggerated friendliness just to get a favor in the office, or masking a totally manipulative intention with a perfectly rehearsed smile, the one who is silent immediately notices the dissonance. This unique ability to decode the true intentions of others gives these minds an almost unfair tactical advantage in the daily social game. They let the egos of others inflate with the sound of their own voice, allowing excessively talkative individuals to put all their cards on the table without even realizing they are being meticulously analyzed. It is a fascinating process of passive observation that reveals, without the need for a single direct question, exactly who can be trusted and who is just wearing a mask of social convenience. However, at the same time they detail map this minefield of others' intentions, intelligent people also know they need to protect themselves, which leads us to understand how this exact behavior turns into an invisible armor against any kind of external manipulation. In this minefield of modern relationships, information is the most valuable currency that exists. When you share seemingly harmless details of your life during one of those obligatory rides in Los Angeles traffic, or while waiting in the long drive-through line before work, you are actually giving away free data about yourself. That is exactly why intelligent people use silence as a true and impenetrable anti-manipulation shield. They understand that small talk often acts like discreet social Trojan horse. In these situations, questions disguised as friendly interest serve only to extract your personal opinions, fears, or structural weaknesses. By avoiding talking about trivial matters and limiting the sharing of their own routine, intelligent people create a psychological force field that is practically impossible to cross. In highly competitive American environments, such as tense corporate hallways in New York or hidden struggles for space in technology companies, there will always be individuals ready to distort and use any fragment of information against you. Intelligent people firmly refuse to equip these social predators with any tactical advantage. They hold back their true emotions, controversial opinions, and details about their financial life, shielding themselves from external threats. This defensive posture happens because they know perfectly well that excessive familiarity and uncontrolled chatter create an extremely dangerous vulnerability. While compulsive talkers voluntarily reveal their insecurities, intelligent people keep total and absolute control of the conversation dynamics. If a manipulative coworker tries to fish for a complaint from you about the boss through a casual comment about the office atmosphere, a neutral and uninterested response instantly neutralizes the trap. The absence of material for gossip, intrigue, or emotional blackmail dries up any attempt at behavioral control before it even begins. Intelligent people are absolute masters at becoming social mirrors, reflecting what others say without revealing anything at all about their own private life. In this way, they walk unharmed through environments where most people end up tripping over their own words. This rigorous self-defense and the retention of personal data ensure that they are never caught off guard or used as mere pawns in office political games. However, this impenetrable armor and this refusal to participate in the game of trivialities often create an unexpected side effect in the way society sees these reserved minds. And this forces us to face one of the greatest conflicts of human perception, breaking down the mistaken image that these cold and calculated attitudes are merely a pure and simple display of social arrogance. Deconstructing this mistaken image is fundamental because American culture, in general, strongly rewards performative extroversion. From the relentless dynamics of popularity in high schools to the crowded and artificial networking events in Silicon Valley startups, you are expected to be constantly communicative, accessible, and always ready to distribute a rehearsed smile. When intelligent people refuse to actively participate in this corporate and social theater, the judgment of others is immediate. They are almost always seen as individuals who feel superior. If you decide to stay silent during an exhausting family Thanksgiving dinner, while distant relatives continuously debate futilities, or if you prefer a completely silent Uber ride in the rainy streets of Seattle instead of talking about traffic, you are quickly labeled as a snob, cold, or even an antisocial figure. But behavioral science points out that this is the classic fallacy of arrogance. The intimate truth of these minds is much less egoic and incredibly more constructive. Intelligent people do not believe in any way that they are too good to talk to others. They simply value absolute authenticity above mere social convenience and the need to please. For them, forcing an unreal sympathy or faking deep interest in an empty subject just to soothe the ego of the crowd is a subtle form of aggression against their own time and their own mental integrity. What the overwhelming majority of people see as cynical antipathy is, in fact, just an extremely sharp selectivity, and this rigorous selectivity does not represent, in any way, an act of contempt for human coexistence. Rather, a mechanism of survival and emotional preservation that has become highly evolved. The modern and productive lifestyle is already mentally punishing enough with its uninterrupted demands. By mercilessly filtering who and what they will invest their scarce daily attention in, intelligent people masterfully avoid rapid emotional exhaustion. They have completely normalized the liberating idea that they have no obligation to be emotionally available to every neighbor, colleague, or family member who crosses their path. The great and tragic misconception of modern society is confusing the healthy and urgent maintenance of personal boundaries with elitist arrogance, without realizing that it is exactly this invisible barrier that keeps them psychologically shielded and focused on the backstage of real life. They do not harbor any hatred for the people around them. They merely repudiate the exhausting falsity of social masks. And it is precisely this relentless repudiation of superficiality and the constant search for substance that definitively undo the myth of total isolation, revealing to us that, behind this shield of protective silence, hides a genuine desire for something much more rare and powerful. And this deep and genuine desire leads us directly to the true essence of this mental strategy, which is the indescribable art of cultivating connections that truly matter. Contrary to what rushed society imagines, intelligent people do not feel any aversion to talking or interacting with the world around them. In fact, they intensely yearn for constructive dialogues of high added value, far from the superficialities of everyday life. If you find them in a quiet Boston cafe or in the early hours of a typical Texas diner, you will realize they are capable of spending hours discussing complex ideas, financial strategies, or the mysteries of the human mind. The vital difference is that intelligent people meticulously reserve their limited mental energy only for these authentic and transformative exchanges, preferring to have a single loyal ally with whom they can lower all defenses, rather than being the most popular and empty individual in the room. Therefore, the next time you are in the office, at a networking event, or in any social situation where the volume of useless small talk is too high, do a small and practical exercise in behavioral observation. Stop for a single second and look exactly for who is comfortably silent in the corner of the room, just watching the social dynamic with an attentive and analytical eye. Probably, you have just identified one of the intelligent people in the group. And while everyone around is just making noise to inflate their own ego, they are silently reading of everyone present there.